Good news, Dave. We are officially live with the Almost Daily Show.
Good news, Dave. We are
Hold on.
officially live with Almost.
Gotta silence the theme.
Imperfection.
Yeah. Imperfection at its finest. You guys are wondering what happens. You get an echo because we have another screen that's showing the actual broadcast so I can see questions when we're on this other thing.
We love questions.
Questions are exciting. So
What
welcome.
episode are we on?
We are on episode 48 of the Almost Daily Show.
All right. And with our host, Chandler Walker, and I was hoping he'd say it for me.
Dave Picardi.
So
We're here. We're super pumped. We've had a good week already, and it's only Tuesday. Monday was exciting. Tuesday's better, not only because Tuesdays are fun, but because it's Taco Tuesday. Sun's out, guns out, everybody.
I messed that up. No tacos today. I'm going to have to get on West Coast time. Taco Tuesday, Pizza and Wine Friday.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, we saw the Taco Tuesday as a religion, Pizza Friday as a religion, and occasionally we do Mimosa Saturday.
All right, I'll skip the mimosa. We'll do like a margarita Saturday.
There you go.
And Sunday and Monday. We'll just
And
add
Tuesday.
every day to that one.
Sometimes you can just do wine night every night. Join a wine club.
Who does that?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody.
Oh, I love
So
it.
anyway, today we have a pretty exciting topic. We wanted to talk about the reasons we lead with value first, because what we find sometimes is organizations are often really sales heavy and they don't understand why you would lead with value when they always want to be going for the close. And this isn't the 1980s or back in the day when it was about closing. It's about
ABCs.
ABC, always be closing.
That's right.
And
I
so
grew up- that was my environment back in the day.
when you always had to close.
Oh, it was about closing. That's for damn sure.
And if you didn't, people were like, well, what are you even doing?
Well, things have changed so much. So salespeople, there used to be a really good need for a salesperson, and it was about cold calling and actually. So a company needed a salesperson to get information out and to actually go find people to talk to, show them the products and close them. And now, I think the biggest thing that's totally changed is if I want to buy something, I just Google it. I know everything about it now. So now I can educate myself as a consumer. So the cold calling type sales, most companies that are doing that are their products blow. Like they're not able to have like culture around their products where buyers actually want to consume their stuff and actually like their brand.
Yeah, and what really happened too was the advent of social media and the advent of the capabilities of the consumer to be everywhere and to have brands everywhere and all over the place for them. And so it got away from the point where you had to have like cold calling and you had to have people trying to sell people all the time because it was just blanket advertising and no one really understood whether or not it was working. They just knew they were closing people. So now with the advent of social media, we have the capability of doing that 18 times fold or 100 times fold. But what we're seeing, though, is people don't want to be sold like that anymore. They want to go on social media to get away from things. When they go to a car lot, everybody's got their head down and they don't want to look anybody in the eyes because they know they're going to be sold or someone's going to try to sell them a car or whatever. Or they go into anytime they get near a salesman, people immediately put their attention down and they try not to look towards people. Or if the salesman approaches them and says, hey, have you ever considered this? They're immediately defensive and don't want anything to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
It's because the society and the culture of sales ruined everything. Just like we always say, marketers ruin everything, salesmen ruin everything. So they ruin the culture of being able to sell directly to a consumer. So now what we're seeing is we have to regain people's trust and we have to make them feel like they're special. We have to make them feel like what we're doing is specifically for them. And we have to make them feel like we actually care and we should care. And that's how we start selling people. And that's why we have to lead with value, because we have to change the mindset from, oh, they're just another person trying to sell me, to they've given me so much value. I really trust them. I can't wait to start working with them. And it's a whole mindset shift.
Oh, yeah. And I shifted. I mean, for me personally, I shifted just a long time ago in one of my old businesses where I realized that I started out in the industry for a long time, cold calling. And, I'd go into a major office building where there's hundreds and hundreds of businesses, and they have a no solicitation policy. And I was so good I had this strategy. I'd go right past the secretary, ask if Bob was in or Mike was in, and I go, I'll just go stop in and see him. And so I'd get right past the gatekeeper all the time, do my thing, get kicked out of the building by security, and then you'd get kicked out, the east entrance, so you'd go running back into the west entrance and just keep on cold calling, right? And so that was in-person cold calling, and then you'd hammer the phones later, and it was just aggressive. And then I learned, right, and this was through some training and actually through some good mentorship, to take down a network and when you're selling, right? Don't just go sell one person, influence people, right? And then I figured out that all I want to do is I want to build as many relationships with as many people as possible. And if there's influence in there, influencers, that's perfect, right? But I'm not going to ask for any sales, and I'm not going to try to sell them anything. And I want to be the guy that a year into my relationship, they say to me, hey, do you know any good marketing companies? And I can say, oh, yeah, that's me, right? Like, because I've become their friend and I've built a relationship and I've built value, right? And so it's a different way to sell. And then that's what we're looking at when we look at the relationship marketing experience for us is about relationships, right, Chan?
Yeah, exactly. And what we find in the relationship-based marketing and relationship-based selling is the difference between this and like cold calling sales back in the day was cold calling, you sell them once and that's it. That's all that matters. Customer doesn't exist anymore. But what we have to worry about nowadays is after you sell them, more often than not, especially in the service industry where we work with a majority of the people we work with, you have to worry about keeping that customer around for a long period of time. You have to worry about what that customer thinks. You have to worry about that customer repeat purchasing from you because it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to find a new one. And if you're just cold calling and blanket selling people, you're going to close like 4 to 10% at the most of everybody who comes in. But if you focus on the relationship and build that up before they even come in, you're going to close a majority of the people that you come in, and they're going to feel so connected to you, they're going to keep coming back for more. And that's what the big critical difference is. It's the fact that we don't want the relationship with the customer to end after the initial sell. We want the relationship with the customer to keep going. And even if they do cancel eventually, we want it to keep going after that. And you can't build that relationship if they're immediately defensive and if they're immediately kind of on guard when you approach them because you're cold calling them. And it happens when you cold call them on the phone. You get the Google listing people calling you and you immediately hang up. Yelp calls you, you hang up.
Yelp. I can't. That, you know what? Like when they first started doing that, you gave them the benefit of the doubt. But man, did that get aggressive. Their sales number targets must be aggressive.
Oh, man. They focus. It's just crazy. They just calling. They'll call you, email you. And to the consumer, it's borderline abusive in their tactics. So we want to avoid that because we don't want to be hated. And that's why if you're a consumer watching this, you probably don't understand the Yelp culture to businesses, but businesses often feel like they're extorted by Yelp because of the way they approach them, they email them, and they hit them hard. So it's almost a universal thing where a lot of businesses don't really like working with them, but they feel like they need to because of the review system. But that's what we want to avoid. And if you're cold calling, even on Facebook, if you get that agency or that gym or that company that's always putting this crappy ad in front of you, you're going to start to ignore it. You're going to hide those ads. You're going to not pay attention to it, and you're not going to feel comfortable with it. Whereas if you see someone leading with value, and value, it should be defined as, it's not like, hey, check out this cheat sheet with 10 secrets we use to make the world go round.
Where do I check that out? I want to check that out.
Go to www.theworldgoesround.com.
I just wrote that down.
I don't know if that's a real link. So if you guys visit it, hopefully it's not like a porn site or something. But what it needs to be real value. It doesn't need to be like snarky, crappy stuff that it appears to be value. It needs to be like this show. There's no agenda behind it. We're just giving value to people. We go on live every day. We don't sell anything on it. We're just hoping to help people and build that culture of caring because we really care. Versus if we just put out a cheat sheet that said, hey, here's your 10 tricks and tips and strategies to close people on Facebook. That's not necessarily leading with value. That's trying to capture your information so that way someone can sell you later. And it's another tactic that's been used to pretend like you're building the relationship.
Yeah, and, maybe we're full of crap, right? Maybe this doesn't work, but we're gonna learn, right? We've been doing this now for a long time. This is a shameless plug, but Help First, right, is I think it's a way to go, right? Like you want to make sure if you're like a consumer or a business owner out there and you're listening, provide value, right? Help people. Don't have an agenda. If you do it right, sales will come. You'll build a network. You'll build a reputation, which takes years to build. And think of it, like write down all the businesses you interact with. Write down the ones that you've been interacting with your whole life, and maybe even your parents have interacted with as well. Like, anyone that has local insurance agency. You don't have an insurance agent for 30 years and then have your kids also use the same insurance agent because they're just a transaction, right? There was a relationship. When the relationship was made, you'll never leave that person. It's already done deal. They put the work in up front so that you never leave them for life. And that's an important concept. And I think it's a shame when I see businesses not understanding that and just pounding sales.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the fundamental things you have to understand behind this is when you lead with value and you focus on building the relationship, you are playing the long-term game. So you're not going to be able to close people right away because a relationship and trust takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, especially when a business needs to develop trust with a customer or a consumer. It's not something where you just put up a little cheat sheet and they trust you immediately. It's right. Information, pieces of information, talking to them, helping them, giving them value, seeing what they need, and then giving them a little bit more. You're always giving more than you're going to ask for. And anything you do with the customer and anything you do in building the relationship, or even in life, you're giving more than you could ever expect them to give back. And then over time, like you're saying, over the course of a year and a half, then they're going to start flooding in. And what you're going to see when the magic happens is as they flood in, they're already going to be like, hey, how do I sign up? I've been following you for a long time. I really feel like what you're going to do is going to be the game changer for me, and this is what I need. And that's when you know the relationship is working, because that's when you know that what you did provided so much value to these people that they ultimately had that high level of trust and they really felt like you cared about them.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look at how buyers buy now, no one buys now. Well, I do. That damn Amazon Prime.
Oh, that
that thing's the worst. I'm like, if you say, Dave, you should get this before we're off. Actually, here's a good example. This microphone. I was just sitting with someone and they pulled out this microphone and started talking. And before I even asked them any questions, I ordered it off Amazon Prime. Like, I like that microphone. It's instant buy. So I don't have a relationship with this microphone company, but I can tell you this. I own 10 microphones. They're 10 different manufacturers, right? I don't have any relationship with them and I don't have any loyalty. And if I never buy, I don't even know what it is. If I never buy it again, I wouldn't care because they didn't build a relationship with me.
That's true. That's what Prime does. They don't even have to talk to you. You're just like, oh, I can get this. I need it right now.
I need it now. But it's so important. Just understanding that it is about the relationship. And I know businesses get themselves maybe in a little bit of trouble where, they maybe expand too fast, or you didn't have enough in reserves when you opened your business and, you're trying to make the sale. What I'd say to that is one, I think everyone should have a business coach, someone that can help them personally in their own business, maybe make the adjustments needed to have a strategy for a long-term game. Very important. If you don't have a strategy, you're just trying to sell all the time. And if you have that strategy, you can figure things out in the short term. Yes, you need to make sales, but it's just as, if not more important, to build a foundational platform of helping people, giving information, building relationships. It's the primary part, I think, of all businesses at this point moving forward. Even the big businesses, this is what they're bringing people in for as consultants to help them. They're trying to figure this out.
Yeah, it's huge. When you see oh no, I can hear it echo, Dave.
It's not me.
It's coming out of your end. I can hear it. Let's see. Hello? Oh, it's fixed.
How'd that get fixed?
What did you do?
I didn't touch it.
You're out of control. You just had an echo and then you used the magic finger and fixed it. So anyway, look at that magic finger, the spirit fingers. So what we're finding is large businesses especially are figuring out that they need to get away from the brand-centric economy and get more into the customer-centric economy.
That's right.
And if they're in the customer-centric economy, that's where it's a two-way streak. What are they saying? What do they think about us? How do we react and how do we respond? And that requires a long-term plan, and it requires caring about the customer throughout the entire life cycle. And if you want to have a good life cycle with your customers, you want them to stick around and you want them to be part of what you do, you want them to share out what you're doing to their friends and refer, you need to build that culture of caring, and you need to be in a customer-centric environment. And if you can't figure that out, you have to find someone who can figure it out for you. And like Dave's saying, that's why big brands are hiring consultants to build this customer-centric model around their businesses. And it's, for these guys, it takes years and years and years to build it out. And that's why startup culture can catch up so quick. And with smaller businesses like gyms and service industry businesses, more often than not, we can change them within like 60, 90, 120 days. And then after a year or two, they're fully fledged customer-centric motor and machines.
So a couple thoughts on that is I think you nailed it on that. What social media has done for marketing and sales is phenomenal. It's allowed startups, small guys, just people that would normally never have the opportunity to actually play in the big pond with the rest of the businesses. If you understand the game, you can get just as much exposure in your market, and you can do extremely well without being the big company, without having the big budgets. And that's phenomenal. I think and a lot of small businesses do an exceptional job with it. Most do not, and they pay the price, I think, financially. I'll let you respond to that.
That's a good point there. Big businesses, we always think with their massive budgets that they can change and make things happen overnight. And once they do it, they will crush you. But you have time on your side. Like, it's going to take them 3 years to make this work. It's going to take you 6 months, like I was just saying. So if you can get this kickstarted and get this moving, and at the same time, you're already micro niched out into what kind of working in, because you're not broad based like they are, you'll have the capabilities to have a lot better culture, a lot better environment, and have that customer centric model before anybody else actually comes out, and with the potential to grow into a bigger brand than you already are.
I think that's huge. I think another thing is, and this is kind of proving our point for the day, go back a few years and big business figured out, and they're hiring millennials and they're hiring all these younger people, and they used Twitter. They used it great as customer service. And so if out in the Twitter sphere, someone says something bad or good about your company, there's people right on it, right? And if you said something bad about Pizza Hut, they're saying, hey, next pizza's on us, right? Just mention this. And they used it as a great social media customer service tool to build relationships and show the consumer that they care. So that's the start of it. I think the overall issue is the social media world is vast, and just having Twitter isn't enough, right? It's changing so fast that you really need to have a strategy to understand how to utilize the social media to really nurture the relationships, right? And not just make it, we see it all the time, a one-way street. Oh, I put out information all the time on social media, right? But social media is social. It's about building and nurturing relationships.
Yeah, and that's why social media is so powerful in the way we're running everything. It's the ability for a business at scale to react, respond to, and engage with customers in real time. And before social media came out, there was no way to do that other than like email, which you can't really do very well because you have to have massive amounts of people responding.
Right.
But
or in person, like I used to do. I'd get in the car and make my rounds with clients and all that. Every week I had my rounds.
Yeah, and with social media, we're able to put out a piece of content, and then you get comments, and you're able to actively engage with these comments all the time, and you're actively be able to talk to people. When they say they hate something, you're able to say, hey, how can we make it better? When they say they love something, say, hey, that's awesome. How about we share this? You can put out things where you share your customers' content. People love to be shared because everybody wants to build that follower base and have people care about what they're doing on their own social medias. And so as a business, you have this huge strategy to where you can put out information, you can listen to what they're saying, you can engage with them. Then you can take the stuff they're using and you can share it on your platforms to make them feel really special because you took the time to share what they're doing. And so if you want to be in this customer-centric environment, social media is a critical piece because it's literally your main way to get in front of people and almost have one-on-one conversations.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you're not doing it, do it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Our good friend Nike says, do it.
Just do it. Do it. Do it. Oh, Doyle rules.
Doyle rules.
Well, this was a good episode.
I think so.
We're about past the average commute time, so we better cut this off, and we might come back tomorrow. We're not sure. We weren't here yesterday, so that probably means we'll be here tomorrow.
That's right. We will be here tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it's almost daily. All right, guys, it's been fun. See ya.